Hello and welcome to Vlogmas. And this is another video where I didn't bother to check if the green light was on my microphone because I'm, so used to using one, clearly. So this is another one with a whole bunch of voiceovers. Sorry about that. And actually when I recorded the video, it stopped recording for some reason after like a minute or so, and I had to start re-recording it, and so it kind of worked out that I didn't have to have that split in the first 2 minutes of video. How would I get on with it? First of all, I'm sorry again if you're really into the sound of the click clacking and the crinkly of all the little bags, and of course I have a running commentary going when I actually record of where is this little piece here and how annoyed I am that I'm not able to actually put it together the way it's supposed to go. So I'm sorry you're missing out on all that. How about I actually talk about the topic at hand, which is the difficulty in treating avoidant personality disorder, which there's many components of it. I think the original video is sort of probably better than anything I'm going to say here. But hey, this is the theme this year, is revisiting these videos, so I'm going to give it a shot and probably just repeat myself. So why is it so difficult to treat? Well, first of all, you have to actually seek treatment to be treated. That's number one. It is really hard to go out and find a therapist, and I understand that. It's really hard to, basically you're forced to go against everything that you know in order to go get a therapist and get treated. I've been told actually by 2 separate therapists, because again, with therapy, what you're supposed to do is have a specific issue that you need to deal with and deal with it, and then get out of therapy. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for years and years and years. I get in and I get out, and I get in and I get out, and actually I should probably be in right now. But I've been avoiding it. I'm too busy. I've got all the excuses. So I'm kind of a hypocrite saying, hey, get in, do therapy, when, I have issues. It's just, trying to find a therapist when you've got multiple comorbidities is really difficult to find one that can actually do everything and not get caught up on, what their specialty is, and actually focus on what you need for them. I mean, if I could get one absolutely brilliant therapist that I could go back and forth with, but that doesn't work, because for me, I leave therapists the way I leave people, which is generally, it's not a situation where I would be able to go back to a therapist for whatever reason, which is usually that I overextend the time that I should be with a therapist, because of course I'm avoidant personality disorder, and so trying to stop something that's already, that inertia thing is just about impossible for me. So it's always sort of negative in the end, even if it was positive in the process of therapy. But enough about me, because that actually has nothing to do with the topic. that's me with my own difficulties with therapists, even though I'm encouraging you to do it. Why is it difficult to treat? That is a big problem, is actually getting into therapy, and being able to articulate why you're there. But the other problem, and it's huge, but it's sort of combined with that, or combined or exacerbated by, or I don't know, is that they don't really have a treatment plan for people with avoidant personality disorder. Now, borderline personality disorder has dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT. It was designed by somebody who has borderline, who really knows exactly what's going on with a condition, and figured out what made things better. I mean, a lot of what I've been describing for this while, oh, spoiler alert, whatever, I actually started making these videos in August. So I've been making these videos for a while, because again, it is really not that easy for me to make them. I mean, last year I was really complaining about it, which is probably not the best for listening to or anything. But also last year I was trying to do it daily. Which, guess what? I'm not a daily vlogger or whatever. So, yeah. And especially because I keep having these technical difficulties because I'm using new equipment that you think after, what is this? Is this number 22? You think after 22, 23, 24 videos or something like that, using this equipment, I should know how to use it, but I don't. But anyway, is that a trait of somebody with avoidant personality disorder? I would say no. I think that's just me being annoying, but there hasn't been anybody that's come out with a DBT style, this is how you treat avoidant personality disorder. And I've been told by, this is what I was talking about before I went off on my therapy thing, my therapist thing, is I've been told by at least 2 therapists that they have never met somebody with avoidant personality disorder just going into regular therapy. That the only ones they've ever met and treated in any capacity were in mental hospitals. Which, okay, my personal experience, I've never been in an inpatient hospital situation. I've been in an inpatient 24-hour therapeutical sort of center, but I mean, that was like a couple of days. It wasn't weeks or months. I can't even imagine being, can't even imagine it. Mine was sort of like an, I don't know how you describe it. It was sort of like you're on the edge of needing to be hospitalized. So we're going to catch you right before there, and we're going to send you to a little retreat where you can just chill and not be stressed. You know, a supportive vacation where you don't have to make any decisions about everything, which of course was not what actually happened, because I had my son and I could not rely on anybody to take care of him, so I still had to make decisions while not actually being near him. But anyway, if you've got therapists who just do not have the experience, that's a major problem. If you've got therapists who haven't had any sort of accurate insight in their education process of what is going to be helpful with somebody with avoidant personality disorder. I mean, as of right now, unless they've had like some major breakthrough that somehow I missed, which I actually do sort of check every once in a while, they're still saying cognitive behavioral therapy is the best type of therapy for somebody with avoidant personality disorder. I personally 100% disagree with that, because it leads to rumination, which leads to the feedback loop, which leads to basically getting, first of all, with our extra sticky neural pathways, which, by the way, is not like in the literature. I mean, it seems really obvious to me. I've talked to quite a few people with avoidant personality disorder, and it seems, yeah, that seems like absolutely something that should be researched and developed. And I mean, that's also, if that's the case, they might be able to medicate eventually to sort of destickify the neural pathways. I mean, if that is legit what the biological part of avoidant personality disorder, because again, you need to have a biological predisposition for it, and then you need a trigger. If that's what it is, and they might actually be able to medicate. I am not against medication if it actually works. I don't see the point in taking it if it doesn't. There we go. There's another part of it. Why is it so hard to treat? Right now, there is no medication that actually works on it at all. And it does make sense, because this is not a brain chemical imbalance, which is what like 99% of psychological medications do is reconfigure that balance. That's not the problem. It's your personality. Therefore, we're not able to take medications to make it all better and go away. But maybe if somebody would actually do the research to see if my theory and my small, limited experience and not having the background, and no, I'm not interested in going back to school to become a psychiatrist or whatever, that would be horrible. If for no other reason, because you are required to both be in therapy and, be a therapist for like weeks worth. Something like, my gut says it's 40 hours, but I think it's way more than that. I think it's like, maybe it's 400 hours. I mean, that can't be right. Well, 400 hours would be only 10 weeks full time as a therapist. I don't know. It's whatever. This is not happening. I'm not. I mean, and I actually had a book idea that really, actually, I wrote it specifically for my son. It was based on a therapeutic program that they get for autistic kids, but it was really basic. It was like Dick and Jane level, and I wrote like a teenage equivalent of it, and was like, hey, this is really working. And they actually gave it to other kids that my son was in school with, and they said, yeah, that's really working. And so I was like, hey, maybe I should try to get this published. And they said, yeah, what you need to do, you write it. That's cool. But you need to find a psychiatrist who can put their name on it. Their name will come first. Your name will say, with the help of me, even though I wrote the entire thing. So they'll get all the credit. But see, they have the degree and pedigree to be able to actually sell the thing. So that is part of the problem, is that I don't know. I mean, there is conceivable that there's somebody with avoidant personality disorder that would be a therapist, and even more than a therapist, to be like a researcher in psychiatry. I mean, weirder things happen. People actually win lotteries, etc. But I'd be boggled. I'd be fascinated. I can't even imagine truly somebody with avoidant personality disorder who would be willing to go through all of that. It just seems, I can see a lot of people doing a lot of types of things. I mean, I did an entire video about how to discover a job that would be a good fit for you, right? I think that people with avoidant personality disorder could do just about anything. I'm pretty damn sure that there's quite a few, professional musicians, for example, who have it. But I can't see that. I've not talked to any therapists who have avoidant personality disorder. That would be wild and outrageous to me. So that we don't have any insiders, and people don't actually want to participate in studies. Now, I did do one, and I keep patting myself on the back about it and bringing it up, and I suppose I should do another one, although I don't even remember how I got involved in that one in the first place. I sort of blanked it, from my mind, the process. And there's that word should. I made an entire video about that too, about how evil that word should is and how you shouldn't. There it is again. And that putting pressure on yourself to do something is just not cool. But I should sort of put my money where my mouth is. And if I think that there needs to be more people out there participating in studies to actually learn a way that would actually work for people to get therapy that is helpful as opposed to stumbling along, I suppose I should get out there and do it again. And the way that I did it, because I had already done DBT therapy, which I explained in another video earlier this month, last month, 2 months ago when I made that video. Anyway, part of DBT is that you do these little diaries where you write down how you're feeling at certain intervals during the day, so that you can record, this is something that triggers me, this is something not, just so that you're supposed to remember it when you go to your therapists. And also you're supposed to see trends and see if, try to see if there's something that's helping you, to get through your days and what's terrible and what's making your life miserable, etc. So I had already done that. So that was basically what my study did, was at certain intervals we would have to fill out a online survey about how are you feeling about this and how are you feeling about that and how are you feeling about the other. I have no idea what that end result was, but it was something that I had already been familiar with, and hey, I stepped up and did a study, and it wasn't extensive and all that, but people are not sort of willing to do that. I can't imagine why, having done it, and how invasive it was, and how much it sort of dwelled in my mind that, oh, I've got to do this thing, oh, it's coming up, oh, it's in 2 weeks. I can't imagine why anybody would decide that they did not want to participate in doing something like that. I'm sorry, I feel like this is all over the place. Maybe they're all over the place and I'm just realizing it. At least it's still recording. That's good. But as far as why it's so difficult to treat. So one, it's difficult to treat if you are not trying to seek treatment. Two, it's difficult to treat when the therapy that is available to you is not adequate. Okay. 3, I sort of already alluded to this. Why is it difficult to treat? Because if you're doing straight CBT or basically anything, I mean, the point is to go into therapy and talk about something that you were not as successful in navigating in your life. Let's put it that way. To try to come up with a plan that would help you navigate it better. All right? But like I said, extra sticky neural pathways, the more you dwell on something, when you have avoidant personality disorder, like that takes over. It's sort of, I mean, it is super common. People talk about it all the time. Okay, for example, this is YouTube. So if you've got somebody that has their YouTube comments and actually talks about the process of making videos, they will talk about they might have 100 positive comments, but that one negative comment really cuts and bites, and it sticks with them to the point where the phrase that YouTubers use, oh, it's gonna come to me, I swear, it's something like, your opinion of me is none of my business, or some stupid thing like that. But that's literally how they're supposed to operate, is to not try to pay attention to negativity or whatever. I don't know how you put it. But that, and those are at the least average folk, or even super gregarious and confident people that are making YouTube videos. And I know it's coming from me, but then you see, like, I don't make videos for like how many months in a row, and when's the last time you actually saw my face in a video? I don't want to think about it, because that could put me off, even making these ones. And truthfully, I don't even remember when I started doing the Vlogmas, but there's a decent chance if I wasn't doing this, and this is like the thing I do at the end of the year, and seriously start planning it 4 to 6 months before I start making them, there's a good chance it would be years between videos for me. But anyway, so that average folk have a difficulty getting rid of negative ideas and criticism and all that. People with avoidant personality disorder, it's much stronger. That, and okay, yeah, I'm living it, but seriously, for what I've experienced with other people, I mean, there are people that really, truly, you know, it's like slides off a duck's ass is the phrase, that they just, okay, they have a criticism, maybe they'll confront somebody about it or whatever, but they don't dwell on it for months and years like people with avoidant personality disorder. So if you're caught up in this, I will dwell on this criticism forever, and I'm already thinking of it, I'm sure that every single person that is watching these videos has like a nice little, you know, set of files in their brain of all the million things that they have done. I mean, my memories are so Swiss cheesed, because the way I cope was by basically erasing memories completely. And I think that's one of the reasons why I do so much traveling, is because it's, well, one, because I'm not in a position where I would feel massively humiliated, although I think the exception is the cruises that I went on. And look at the distinction. I'm stuck in a boat with like 1,000 people, but we're stuck there for days on end altogether. So I'm not like, dissipated into the universe. And maybe I interact with somebody for, let's say, a half an hour, but then I don't ever see them again. Unfortunately, I keep seeing them over and over again. And so I would say of all my travel experiences, the cruises, ironically, are the ones that are the ones that I would want to forget the most. Like being on the boat, although it was very relaxing on the cruise. So, yeah, watch this space about that. I have 2 big trips planned. One for December is, as I'm making this video, that's in the future, but as this video is going to be visible, it will have already happened. Time travel, wow. And the next one is in March. In March, I'm going to Australia. It's going to be my 5th continent and my third ocean, 5th continent. Pretty wild. Yeah. So, whatever. Back to the point. The point is, I really do have massive gaps. Like, I would say at least 95% of my childhood is gone. And it wasn't really until I did start traveling. I took my first international trip. When I was 15, I went to England by myself. Again, by myself, without my parents, and specifically my mother. I was without her. That's when I started remembering. I remember that. I don't remember much about high school. What I remember of high school is, this is going to sound ridiculous, and it just proves I'm academic based, but I remember very consciously keeping track of which classes that I would take in order to graduate with the most packed education, in order to go to college, 1, and 2, to never ever have a study hall, because oh my God, I couldn't imagine being stuck for 45 minutes with classmates doing nothing. Oh my God, no. I had the most packed schedule in high school, because I just hated the idea of being stuck by myself. Oh, it was awful. It was awful. It was awful. Anyway. I wonder if it's even capable, or me, if I'm even capable of staying on track with a message. No wonder these videos are always so long, right? Anyway, so yeah. So, again, the other problem that I was trying to refer to before I went on these huge, massive tangents about this crap in my life, I mean, I guess it's a good example, but it's tangent for sure, is that it's very, very hard for the current therapeutic process, which is talk therapy, talk about what you're doing, and then make up a plan for something else. This is why I've said, I don't know how many times, repeating myself again, that it's almost like the alternative to CBT would be going to a life coach, because a life coach specifically, they don't really care about fixing your past. They care about setting goals for the future. And Well, most are supposed to. I mean, I don't know. I don't know any of them that aren't like self-made flakes. So that's not really helpful, right? But for sure, setting goals to go forward versus focusing on the past is much more helpful. It's because you're not ruminating. So actually, I think that's the fourth thing. So one is our reluctance to be involved in the process of seeking treatment. 2 is that the people who are treating us are not trained, basically because there isn't anything for them to train with to learn how to treat avoidant personality disorder. 3 is because since it's a personality disorder and not a brain chemical imbalance, there are no medications that can help. Again, though, that I'm not saying don't seek medications, because you can have multiple comorbidities. I always have made fun of the people with the alphabet soup of diagnosis. I have this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But that's reality. It's just, in my experience, there's usually a primary diagnosis, and that is causing the most chaos, and so that's what you should focus on. But I myself have at least 4 mental health diagnoses. So the thing is, if you have, like, I have treatment resistant depression, which means that medication doesn't help it. However, if you have good old fashioned brain chemical imbalance depression, then getting a medication that balances your brain chemistry will help. So go for it. If you have straight up anxiety, there are medications that can help that. Why suffer because you also have avoidant personality disorder? Okay, so maybe that will take away 5% of your suffering. Hey, that's enough. That's great. That's awesome. Go for it. If you can, it's kind of like, geez, I don't know. Okay, like, if you have a bunch of weird things that you don't care about in your house and you throw them out, then that's going to make cleaning your house so much easier. There's my example for that. Anyway, so that's the top 3, and then I came up with a 4th. The 4th was treatment. Wait, hold on one second. Anyway, I'm confusing myself trying to come up with these numbers, which I haven't done in any previous video because I can't keep track of all the numbers. So let me just go forward in what else can be, difficulties in treating avoidant personality disorder. Another thing, of course, is I live in the United States, and we have fun with our insurance and paying for it. It's kind of evil. Well, first of all, the payment part, like, oh my Lord, but also most therapists are so concerned about getting paid that if they can't categorize you, then they can't treat you. The categories have to fit into whatever insurance thing they got going on. But if they can't find a code that works, then they can't treat you. And a personality disorder, generally, that's your personality. So they can't treat you for a personality, because that's just who you are. That's for real. That could be why I have so many other diagnoses, because even though that is absolutely primarily my issue, if I go to therapy, is that I don't feel like I have a right to impose myself on people, and yet sometimes I'm okay. Sometimes I just have like regular loneliness that's average, that people just get, and sometimes I really truly am craving to the point where I'm going mad having relationship with people, because that's what it is to be avoidant. It's not, that's it at its core. That's what it is this push-pull of wanting to be with people, but then not wanting to be with people. That's so horrible in its oversimplification, but hey, therapy isn't designed for that. And definitely, if they're, they can give you the diagnosis of avoidant personality disorder, but they can't charge the insurance company for it. So there we go. So trying to find somebody who's even willing to treat you can be really difficult. I once, so annoying. I once found a guy who was trying to, basically, he wanted to be a personality disorder therapist specialist. And so he was like, woohoo, you have this diagnosis, this is great. He was just over the moon at the idea of being, because he had tons of borderline, he had narcissists, he had all histrionics, he had all of them, but he was pretty low on the avoidance scale, and was just like salivating over the idea of having somebody with avoidant personality disorder as a client, until he found out what kind of insurance he had, and like, just, oh, sorry, I won't treat you, click. But really, I keep dancing around it. But truly, the biggest problem with treating somebody with avoidant personality disorder is that it's their personality. And it gets set. Okay, so I'm really reluctant to pay attention to, whatever studies that have come out. I'm like, okay, whatever, especially when I saw the number one expert in trying to just get more and more of them, because again, it's so hard to find people with avoidant personality disorder that are willing to do studies and willing to do therapy, threw in sex addicts and said they're all, anybody who's a sex addict is avoidant personality disorder. Excuse me, have you seen like how extroverted some of them are? And again, I've said before, I think that it's possible that very rare, but possible to be an extrovert with avoidant personality disorder, and that must be hideous. But please, come on. That's outrageous, and I can't believe that it was allowed to be published, and I can't believe that it was allowed, that it passed peer review. That's outrageous to me, because that's just bullshit, to be frank. But it is your personality, and it is set at some point. Your personality becomes set, and then you can't change it. So treatment is not about changing who you are. Treatment is learning how to manage it, which I actually just, how many times I'm going to repeat myself, just made a video about that. That is what really, these are different words for the same thing, I guess. But in my mind, treatment is toward a cure. And there is no cure for avoidant personality disorder. There is managing it. I suppose it is part of treatment, but I think it's really difficult if you're in therapy to come to that conclusion that you can't get rid of it, you can't cure it, and all you can do is figure a way of accepting it and living with it and moving around it. That's really, really hard. And I think that for a lot of people, once they get to that point, they're just like, I'm done. And they quit. And I don't blame them, because that alone is pretty shocking and depressing. To get your diagnosis and to be told that this thing that other people have been using against you by making it seem like you're so weird and so distinctively odd, and that clearly your life must be limited because of it, because you're so friggin' weird. And then once they've told you this, try to use that, put you in the cage, and basically enslave you to do their bidding, and basically force you to be confronted with just how weird and strange you are, and therefore all you're eligible for is to help whoever the abuser is, which is just terrible. So to realize that the abuse has put you in that cage, and you're going to be there basically forever. That is depressing. Really. But that's just one of the sort of humps that you've got to get over in order to sort your life out, figure out what it is that you personally are interested in having as part of your life, as opposed to what you've been told by everybody else should be part of your life. But again, that's definitely, that's a hard pill to swallow. And that makes treatment very difficult, because you do have to give up sort of the idea that you could be quote unquote normal, because you are normal. You are normal avoidant personality disorder. But that's not the thing that's been held up to your face as what you should be. Again, there's that word should that's so terrible and hideous and awful. And then the idea of, okay, well, I have this template of how people are supposed to live their life, and it doesn't apply to me, and I have to make up my own from scratch. Also, another thing that will stop you from seeking treatment, because it just seems impossible, but it is possible. And maybe it takes, the first one is accepting the diagnosis. The second one is accepting that normal life is not as different for you than anybody else, and that's okay. And you've got to get through that and through that before you can then try to figure out what you want your life to be, and what's going to actually work for you, as opposed to any, whatever these dictation of what life should be, and whatever your ideals are, and adjust them. And then the next type of therapy is goal setting, and then you can actually start working for it. You can't just jump in when you have avoidant personality disorder. You've got to ease in and do a whole bunch of pre-work before you can actually start real progress, which is going to slow down the treatment process. Anyway, now that I've yapped forever, I'm going to finish this up. And again, sorry that you didn't hear the click-clacking of me actually putting together this piece. Hopefully I'll do a better job the next video and actually have audio that corresponds to what you're looking at. In the meantime, I'm going to end this. So goodbye, and I will see you tomorrow with the next one. Bye.